Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Here's December sketchbook week 2. Now this first image is of a coffee vendor, but I kind of changed it up a little bit, and it was kind of funny because it almost looks like the what do you call them, barista is DJing. Is actually it's not just coffee, they have like cakes and stuff too, but I changed the image up a little bit so it looks like it was kind of unintentional, so it looks like they're spinning the turntables on there, which is kind of funny. But one thing I like about it especially is the I guess I don't know what you call it, the serving area with the food. I liked how the effect because it's supposed to be made out of like metal, at least the walls are. So I like the effect that I gave to it. Even though I didn't use like natural colors, it still has like a metal sheen to it. Anyways, the reason why I changed up the image from the original is because the vendor was wearing sunglasses, so I gave her more like a kind of like a cool hat, and gave the that reddish color to give it more like a, I don't know, kind of like a vibrant image, I guess. Same with this one too. This one is of a city view, and I wanted to give it kind of like the Blade Runner movie, the new Blade Runner movie. They have like two distinct color patterns in the movie. They have like an orange pattern, and then they have the cooler blue one. So I wanted to give this look here of this image kind of that warm orange pattern. I think I had a bit too much yellow on it myself, and if you notice the beginning, I did like a light wash of yellow, and what kind of happened is I did this like right after the inking of the brush pen, so it seems like some of the black ink kind of was very slight, kind of bled a little bit through. So what I did afterwards, when I finished the painting, I added more like white gouache to it to give it like more of the highlights so you can see it more, and also retouched some of the here's the part with the white gouache, and also retouched some of the black outlines to make it stand out a little bit more. That's one of my goals, is to make even if, because sketchbook, you don't want to like, I don't want to like tear up my page and like restart over. A sketchbook, I just kind of like one and done, and I try to like whatever mistakes I see, I just try to salvage the image and make it workable. And in this one, it turned out quite well. The Plague Doctor's Oath. Now this one is of it's a 3-image series, again a haiku, a 3-image series of a plague doctor. If you're not familiar with a plague doctor, well, if you're familiar with video games, there was an RPG that came out a couple of years ago that was really popular, and a plague doctor was one of the characters you can play. But what a plague doctor was a medieval doctor that would go out and treat or identify people with the plague. And what they did, they actually had like really specific contracts and a lot of amendments to their contracts. I read up on it. It was really quite interesting. Like some of them even have, it's like almost like a modern legal document, like with 20 pages or more of amendments. And because they weren't allowed to work on normal patients, and they had to be quarantined away from normal people because they didn't want to, they didn't want them, in case they caught the disease, to spread to other people. The Plague Doctor's Oath, bound by contracts old, treating. Again, one of the interesting parts of the Plague Doctor is their costume, and what it is basically they had like a full body length costume made of leather, and it was often waxed, and of course the wide brim hat and gloves and a cane, and all of that was to protect them from exposure to from the patients, because I believe they thought it was bad air which caused the disease. and very often they would use their cane to point to the on the sick, so they wouldn't have to touch them. Now the mask especially was the interesting part, because they would of course, the eyepieces was glass so they could see without without having their face exposed. And the reason why they had the bird beak was because they stuff herbs and other ointments in there to mask the the smell of the plague victim. So they believed, like I said, it was a bad smell, a bad air, which was causing diseases. So they would wear the full covering of the mask so they wouldn't have to smell the bad air. Now, another interesting fact was the bird mask wasn't invented during the medieval times. It was, I believe, was in use by the ancient Romans, and they didn't have like the full plague doctor costume, but they, came up with the idea of the bird mask, and maybe the medicine in the beak as well. The plague doctor's oath, bound by contracts old, treating victims' foulsome air. Now, the third and final image is of the plague doctor with an orc, probably a sick orc. So, like I said, it was all about contracts for the plague doctor. So he didn't care if it was, in this case, that we're going with the darkest dungeon. My hypothesis here is that he didn't care if they were like foul, filthy orcs with disease. As long as usually a town would contract them. As long as they wrote a contract for him to treat victims, he would treat them. And in this case here, he was treating these foul orcs, maybe because they would spread, their disease would spread to the human population. So instead of maybe they can't have an outright war with them, so they just try to treat the orcs. It looks like here he's kind of whispering to him too. Maybe they're passing some secret knowledge, or between them, maybe doing some spy work. He always the plague doctor always looks like kind of a spy to me. We see the orc is holding some skulls too. Looks like a shrunken skull, or maybe goblin skulls. Really had fun with this series of images. Maybe I should do more fantasy images. Kind of easier to make up stories to go along with them. So what do you guys think? You like these images, or you like them just the pen and ink, or would you prefer I do more of the watercolor? Let me know in the comments. The last part here, I've been adding the textures on the kind of cross-hatching textures on the background, giving it more of a sinister look. Like I said, maybe they're spies and they're passing along information. I also have a special announcement for my next video. I'm doing a collaboration with another cool artist here on YouTube, so stay tuned for that. Alright folks, don't forget to hit that like button. See you next week. Bye.